Imagine waking up tomorrow morning to find that the very foundation of global self-rule has just vanished overnight. The ballot box? Gone. You look around, and across the globe, governments are shifting towards something colder, something way less accountable. Election after election just devolves into chaos, institutions totally lose their credibility, and that classic phrase, the will of the people, well, it starts to sound like a distant memory from a completely different era. So, what if democracy actually fails across the globe? In this explainer, we're diving straight into what happens when that fragile agreement, the idea that ordinary people matter, is broken on a global scale. We're going to explore the cascading collapse of economies, international alliances, and basic human freedoms. Let's get right into it. Section 1. When the ballots break. You see, a collapse of democracy doesn't usually happen in one massive, sudden explosion. It's more like a slow, dangerous erosion of norms. People just sit back and hope the system corrects itself. Because democracy, right, it's more than just a voting procedure. It's a promise that leaders can change peacefully. But then small cracks appear in multiple countries. Votes get heavily contested or mysteriously delayed. Then, independent media gets absolutely drowned in propaganda. And finally, the courts just yield to whoever happens to hold power. Which brings us to a frankly terrifying baseline: zero. A healthy democracy can absolutely survive fierce disagreement, but zero trust? That means total systemic failure. When citizens just flat out stop believing elections are fair, that damage spreads instantly to literally every corner of society. Section 2. Who fills the void? When the system finally shatters, the world wouldn't just fall to one single unified global regime. Actually, it would completely fragment. You'd see strongmen popping up promising a return to national order. You'd see military leaders claiming civilian weakness, or maybe technocrats ruling entirely unchecked. And in the most modern, high-tech extremes, you'd get algorithmic authoritarianism. This is where regimes use intense digital surveillance to maintain a super tight grip, all while merely pretending to reflect the popular will. The crucial takeaway here is that leadership basically degrades into this brutal endurance contest. It's built entirely on fear and habit, rather than any sort of legitimate public contract. Sure, governments might actually last longer under these rigid conditions, but their true legitimacy, it decays almost instantly. It becomes power without permission. Section 3. The global domino effects. Okay, so when leaders can no longer be peacefully removed, government policy starts to swing wildly. And what do investors do? They panic. We'd see massive capital flight, where money immediately runs toward whatever autocratic systems appear the most stable. This completely upends global trade, crashes currency values, and, let's be real, directly threatens your personal savings and investments. And just look at how fast this cascading collapse can happen. Within one single day, political temperatures boil over. Fast forward to a month, and everyday people who are already struggling with things like housing and healthcare, realize the system is completely deaf to them, which breeds explosive resentment. And within a year, the entire international order fractures. On a global scale, institutions that were built on democratic accountability would really struggle. This forces states to interact through this brittle transactional leverage rather than any shared political ideals. Diplomacy basically shifts from coordinated, principled cooperation to a hardened environment based purely on fear and short-term survival. And that makes international crises incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to actually solve. Section 4. The war on truth. In a post-democratic world, whoever controls the narrative controls the power. Period. If our shared factual reality vanishes, meaning that basic minimum of agreed-upon facts we need to make informed choices, people don't just lose faith in politicians. They lose faith in truth entirely. Without this shared reality, even sham elections completely cease to function because citizens are no longer making choices from the same set of facts. And you know what's crazy? The very technology sitting in your pocket right now actually accelerates this. AI and data systems replace facts with algorithmic echo chambers and incredibly convincing deepfakes. It's essentially an automated control system, specifically designed to perfectly profile your digital footprint and mislead entire populations. It ensures that synthetic propaganda completely buries the actual factual truth. Section 5. Resistance or normalization. Ultimately, all of this forces society into a profound psychological crossroads. On one hand, a furious society absolutely destabilizes the system. But on the other hand, an exhausted, apathetic society, one suffering from learned helplessness, becomes incredibly easy to control. Civic engagement is completely replaced by either radical, aggressive struggle or just sheer, overwhelming hopelessness. Honestly, the darkest outcome here is that this massive loss of freedom just fades quietly into habit. Younger generations might simply assume power is just something that is done to them. It doesn't end with fireworks or one dramatic explosion. Democracy just fades into memory because people are, well, they're simply too tired to fight back. Fatigue is the real enemy here. But hey, human beings do not surrender freedom easily. No way. Even in the middle of a total collapse, underground movements, independent media networks, and civil rights coalitions will keep trying to build something better. The shock of global failure? It might actually be the exact catalyst humanity needs to wake up, become way more vigilant, and rebuild what was lost through digital resistance campaigns and sheer willpower. Because at the end of the day, democracy isn't just a dry political framework. It's a living, breathing agreement that your voice actually matters. So the big question we are left with is this: are we willing to defend that freedom today, or will we just wait until it's nothing more than a memory?